According to recent reports, France's ambassador to Niger, Sylvain Ité, has refused to leave the country after being ordered to do so within 48 hours. How arrogant. He has reportedly locked himself in the embassy, which has been described as an immature act. A Twitter user suggested that Niger should cut the power and water supply at the embassy. That will make him thirsty to leave. This is a clear sign of defiance and disrespect for Niger's sovereignty and dignity. The French government have publicly stated that they do not recognize Niger's government and it has no right to kick them out. Delusional. They are behaving like a toxic ex who's refusing to understand that the relationship is over. The French president Emmanuel Macron has commented on the situation, stating that Niger's problem today is its leadership. He claimed that the country has abandoned policies a policy that was economically beneficial for them, and that they were losing international funding that was helping them to get out of poverty. I beg to differ. Some have criticized Macron's comments as paternalistic and out of touch with reality on the ground. Who is Macron to lecture Niger on what is good for them? Does he not know that his country has exploited and plundered Niger for decades? Does he not know that his country has supported dictators and corrupt regimes in Niger and other African countries? Does he not know that his country has contributed to the instability and insecurity in the region by bombing Libya and arming rebels? Of course he knows. The situation has sparked controversy and raised questions about France's role in Niger. Many people in Niger are calling for the French ambassador, French army, and French politics to leave their country. They are fed up with France's interference and domination in their affairs. They want to be free and independent from France's neocolonial grip. They want to decide their own destiny and choose what's best for them and who's their leader. They want to have the true democracy and not some puppet regime imposed by France. The incident has also highlighted the complex relationship between France and its former colonies in Africa. Some have accused France of neocolonialism and interfering in African affairs. Listen, France has maintained a strong presence and influence in Africa since the end of colonialism. It has intervened militarily, politically, and economically in many African countries, often under the pretext of defending its interests or protecting its citizens, promoting democracy or human rights. However, many critics have argued that France's interventions have often been self-serving, counterproductive, harmful for Africa's development and stability. Now, according to recent reports, Algeria has allegedly rejected France's request to use its airspace for its military intervention in Mali. However, rumors suggested that Morocco accepted, which is hard to believe because even if Morocco agrees, France will still not be able to fly over Mali, which is another obstacle. France has denied these rumors and claimed that it already has troops in Niger, which is true, courtesy of the former president of Niger, Bazoum, who took all the orphan soldiers of France who were kicked out of Mali and Burkina Faso in his country. The situation, though, has raised questions about France's role in the region and its relationship with its allies. Chad, France's ally in the region, is against the military intervention in Niger, and they hosted the newly appointed Prime Minister of Niger. However, France isn't happy with Chad's stance, and this has ignited tension in the northern part of Chad where rebel groups are active again. All this drama unfolded within a week, and it highlights the complexity of the political landscape in the region. It also shows how fragile and volatile the situation in West Africa, where coup, conflict, and crises are on the rise. The situation in the region is complex, and the democratic process is often undermined by those in power. In Senegal, President Macky Sall backed down from running for a third term after public protest, but he made sure to remove any opposition leader who had a pulse. This has raised concerns about the fairness of elections and whether it will truly reflect the will of the people. A similar scenario played out in Niger, where the former president removed all his opponents from the race and appointed his successor. The situation highlights the challenges of democracy in the region and how it can be manipulated by those in power. It also raises questions about the role of Western powers in African politics and whether they are truly committed to democracy or simply interested in safeguarding their own interests. The recent coup in Niger has been viewed by some as a threat to democracy, but others see it as a response to the imperialist agenda of the West and its African puppets. It is concerning that the health of Niger's deposed president Bazoum and his relative is receiving more attention than the potential violence that could be inflicted on the people of Niger and West Africa at large. The situation has raised questions about the motives behind the push for a military intervention in Niger. Burkina Faso and Mali have already expressed their opposition to a military intervention in Niger, stating that any attack on Niger is a declaration of war against Mali and Burkina Faso. This highlights the complexity of the situation and the potential violence to spread throughout the region. It is also worth noticing that the international community's response to military coup and undemocratic regime has been inconsistent. For example, in Myanmar has been under military rule for over 2 years, but there has been no invasion by the UN, the EU, or any other international organization. This raises questions about whether the push for military intervention in Niger is truly about restoring democracy or if there are any other motives at play. Some have suggested that the push for military intervention in Niger is about safeguarding Western interest in the region. This is kind of similar to what happened in Iraq and Libya and other places where Western powers intervened under the guise of restoring democracy, but were ultimately motivated by their own interest. They wanted to secure access to oil and other resources and establish a strategic foothold in those countries. However, their intervention resulted in chaos, violence, and instability that continues until today. The situation in Niger is complex and multifaceted, and it remains to be seen how it will be resolved. The recent statement by the Malian minister, Colonel Abdoulaye Maïga, has raised concern about the potential for violence in the region. Maïga publicly stated that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. He repeated this statement 3 times during a joint press release between Burkina Faso and his country, and they expressed their full solidarity with the people of Niger. Maïga also criticized the regional organization for imposing sanctions that aggravate the suffering of the people and accused them of endangering the spirit of Pan-Africanism. Mali and Burkina Faso have refused to enforce the stiff sanctions imposed by ECOWAS against Niger, deeming them to be illegal, illegitimate, and inhumane. According to reports, Algeria and Libya have also decided not to play ball with ECOWAS. The situation highlights the complexity of politics in the region and the potential for violence to spread through West Africa. It also raises questions about the role of the regional organization in African politics and whether they are truly committed to democracy or simply interested in safeguarding their Western partners and their own interest. Sometimes saying no is the most powerful word in the dictionary. We will continue to monitor this situation and provide updates as they become available. Take care. Have a good day.
We, ni nini?